A very warm welcome, art lovers, to the Art Log. I'm here at London Paddington, about to get the train west to that mecca of art, St Ives. The show I want to bring you is the Casablanca Art School, which is on at Tate St Ives from May 2023 all the way through till January 2024. During the 1960s, in post-independence Morocco, Casablanca and its art school became a really experimental and exciting place on the world art scene. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time the school as a whole has had an exhibition dedicated to it in the UK, although individual artists from the Casablanca Art School have seen exhibitions in the past. I'm really excited to explore this landmark exhibition, so come and join me. The first section introduces us to the political context of the Casablanca Art School. It was set up by the French in the 1920s, but it was only after Moroccan independence in 1956 that it moved away from a Western racialist perspective. The first post-colonial director was Farid, Belkahia, who you can see here. He'd recently returned from Prague, where he'd had an expressionist period, and he led the school. And actually the first member of staff he appointed was this artist, Andre Elbaz, who was the first tutor. We also see works in this room by other really important members of the faculty who also have gone on to dominate Moroccan art in this early period. We see works by Mohammed Chabâa, a figure who runs through the exhibition, and also by Mohamed Melehi, who the driving force of the school, it's really important to recognise, was to embrace both Moroccan and modernist heritage. And there's obviously a very strong abstract tradition in Islamic art. After meeting the tutors, we're then introduced to some of the students of the Casablanca Art School. The 1968 Casablanca Art School annual exhibition was an explosion, and the work you see in this room are from some of the students who took part. And we see a huge range of works. We see mixed media works, ceramics, as well as craft design and architecturally influenced works, as the school was really keen to embrace a multidisciplinary approach. It was very much influenced in this by the Bauhaus school in Germany. There's evidence of the artists turning to Arab and Amazigh cultures as they research into the rich cultures of Morocco. These artists did not just want to parrot Western modernism, but develop a distinctly Moroccan modernism. And it's fascinating to see this in some of the works and also in the documentation, because I should say the exhibition is incredibly rich in documentation. The show ignited for me in the section entitled Making Art Public. There was not really an ecosystem of galleries for Casablanca Art School students and teachers to show their works, so they took over the streets, and with wonderful documentary footage to highlight how Marrakesh and Casablanca were brought alive as open-air galleries by works to be viewed by people from all walks of life. Mohamed Melehi said, "We took a position against the government. Our works were in the central square in Marrakesh for a week, exposed to the sun and wind. It was an ideological message about what art could be." Powerful words, and ones which permeate the exhibition. Dutch visual anthropologist Bert Thint, his influence permeates the show.
but he's not actually in the show. He was a visual anthropologist who inspired students to explore their own ignored cultural roots and embrace artistic expression in Moroccan culture by researching patterns on rugs and jewellery designs from rural Morocco. Melehi himself travelled round Morocco, taking photos which he then bring back to the Casablanca Art School, and would be used then to inspire students and his own work. The two sections, Design for Everyday and Graphic Design, highlight the sheer range of different interests that the Casablanca Art School students and teachers were interested in and touched, from designing interiors for hotels to posters for their own exhibitions and others as well. The political and history lesson combines with the art really powerfully in the Pan-Arabic Solidarity section, where it explains how the Casablanca Art School was at the centre of contributing to a wider flowering of Pan-Arabic art. I'd love to have visited the first Pan-Arab Biennial in Baghdad in 1974. And Morocco's representation was by 14 Casablanca Art School students, who were seen as being the most vibrant paintings, and fittingly the second Pan-Arabic Art Biennial took place in Rabat in 1977. There's also explanation of the Casablanca Art School's links to supporting the cause of Palestine. I really hope you enjoyed that sneak peek there into the Casablanca Art School exhibition. And it was a very interesting exhibition in lots of ways. It's a history and politics lesson of modern Morocco, as well as a really great art show.
And the thing that stuck with me most was the activism of the Casablanca Art School. These were art activists who were getting out there at a really challenging time. It's fair to say that post-independence Morocco did not have it easy, and in fact in 1962, just as the school was developing, King Hassan II instituted a state of emergency, suspended the constitution. And so these were activist artists who were challenging the regime, who often, like art was one of the ways in which you could safely challenge the regime, although later some of these artists were actually arrested and put in prison. So I really got a sense of that. As you move from the British and European-based art of the Tate's semi-permanent collection at St Ives, or the current exhibition I should say, the colours, the deep reds, the sort of the richness of the colours transports you straight to Morocco, so that transition is really good as well. And I would say that it's well curated. It reminded me a bit of the Keith Haring exhibition from Tate Liverpool in 2019, in the sense that it tries to bring in the environment the artists were working in right to the heart of this show. And I thoroughly enjoyed seeing and immersing myself in the documentary footage, both videos which is projected onto screens and walls, but also loads of other journals and photographs which give you a sense of the richness of this work. And it was as much, again, anthropological and about forming national identity for Morocco as it was about purely about the art, although the art was interesting. And what about the art? Well, I'm still getting my head around it a bit, because it was a kind of art I'd not really seen before, this really distinctive fusion of Islamic art and modernism. And so I did enjoy lots of the pieces, love the colours, the brightness, the geometric and non-geometric shapes. It's interesting that lots of the teachers had a European or American art education, and you see that influence along with their increasingly drawing in Islamic art patterns and shapes, and I think that was really interesting. Although 23 artists are shown, 3 really sort of form a strand through the show, and these are, I think, the dominant figures of the Casablanca Art School, the ones with the deepest legacy. And they are 3 of the tutors or teachers, and Belkahia, Melehi and Chabâa, and apologies for pronunciation there, and there's a really rich strand of these running through, and it's lovely to see these artists develop. And I'd like to actually go to individual shows of them as well, because I'm very aware that the Casablanca Art School exhibition here at Tate can't really do justice to all of them. But yeah, and they're sort of, they form the anchor, if you like, of the show, and you begin to recognise motifs and styles, bearing in mind I've not really seen any of these artists before, so that's particularly interesting. So yeah, I really did enjoy this show. It opened my eyes. I love totally learning about and having my eyes open to a new school and a new style of art, where you can see influences, but you haven't seen those combinations together before. So I do really recommend it if you're down in St Ives. It's on all the way until January 2024. I think £10 for the admission to Tate is really, really good, because you get to see all the other exhibitions and the sort of semi-permanent display as well. I think it's fantastic value. Don't forget to subscribe to the art vlog, hit that notification bell for upcoming reviews and previews of shows across London, the South East and beyond, including from sunny St Ives.